Welcome to Deep Impact Investing with Kimberly Griego-Kiel from Horizon Sustainable Financial Services. In this podcast, we talk about sustainable investing and how your portfolio reflects your values. Do your investments seek accountability from corporations that govern more and more of our society and even the lives we lead? Listen in as we explore the question, are you investing like you give a damn?
Hello and welcome to Deep Impact Investing with Kimberly Griego-Kiel from Horizon Sustainable Financial Services. I'm really excited because this is a part 2 of a 2-part podcast Kim did. We started back in January, right, Kim?
We did. I'm very excited to do part 2.
Yes, and this was the 30 eco tips for a greener life. And you covered 1 through 15 last time, and now we're doing 16 through 30, if I'm not mistaken.
We are, although we are going to double back and talk about the water calculator.
Yes, for all of those listening, she challenged you and me, unfortunately, to do the water calculator before this podcast was released. I hope you had a chance to do it, the listening audience, that is, and I sure did. And now I am going to get verbally abused by Kim because of my water. I know she's not going to do that.
I'm going to be nice. I'll be nice.
Okay.
But So we'll talk about that first as we kind of get into this. So yes.
Okay. Let's remind the people what that is. What is a water calculator for those that didn't hear the first one?
So let's just kind of talk about what we're doing first. So the 30 eco tips for, kind of living a better eco-friendly life, right? A greener life. The first 3 were that we talked about last month, our footprint calculator, which is kind of our whole life, then our carbon footprint, a little more detailed, and then the water calculator, which specifically is just about our water usage. So it kind of compares your personal water usage to the average American's water footprint and their water usage. So I did it and you did it, and I hope our listeners did it so they could compare their personal water usage for, whatever your family makeup is to the average family makeup. So, so I'll tell you mine first.
Okay.
Unless you want to go first.
No, please. Go ahead.
So I think I mentioned this last time. We have a well, but it doesn't actually talk about that piece. It's just the calculator wants to know what you do on a daily basis in terms of showering or baths, or do you leave the water running? How do you wash your dishes? How many loads of laundry do you do each week? That kind of thing. So my average, was actually, I guess I don't really think about the gallons I use per day, but my gallons per day for the household, and there's 2 of us in the house, is just a tiny bit over 4,000 gallons a day, which sounds like a lot, but it is right on average of a 2-person household per day.
Really?
So I'm right smack dab in the average.
All right.
I was like, oh, okay. So when you do this calculator, if you haven't done it, it gives you comparisons. So if you look at it specifically, do you have a low flow bathroom sink? I didn't even faucet. I didn't even know that was an option. I mean, shower head, yes, but apparently you can get low flow bathroom sinks, right?
Yep.
Okay, I didn't know that. And same thing with your kitchen sink. Do you do your dishes by hand or do you use a dishwasher? There's 2 of us. We do our dishes by hand, which I guess uses a lot more water. And I thought, I didn't think about that. Oh, do you have a gray water system? We don't. That would have reduced, of course, our water usage a lot.
But you
we don't have a
barrel,
lawn.
Right?
I'm embarrassed to say we have a rain barrel, but it's not hooked up.
Oh, okay. Got it. All right.
Yeah. So
I wasn't trying to call you out on that. I just remember that from the last conversation.
Right. I'm like, okay, so I got to hook that up because that would reduce our water usage, right? But we could hook it up and water the plants, in front of the house, which is fairly minimal. It's Santa Fe. It's dry. We have xeriscape landscaping, so we don't generally water them anyway. And we also don't have a lawn. We don't have grass. So that would reduce our water usage, but we do have a garden. So that helps. The other thing that upped our water usage a lot was, I'm trying to figure this one out, so I'm going to do a little research. Pet food.
Yeah.
We are way above average. And I guess it's the production of pet food.
Mhm.
It uses a lot of water. And we have 5 dogs and 2 cats.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that would
they're
be
small
why.
dogs. Yeah. So that's a lot. And then, of course, your diet makes a big difference too. Ours is well below average. It's half of the average because we eat more plant-based. And so we don't eat a lot of meat, which reduced it a lot. So that kind of
My wife and I
balanced
made
that.
up for your side of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be honest.
So it's kind of interesting. But so I think that's those are some things that put us kind of smack dab in the middle. So your turn.
Well, and the other thing I think that got you was driving,
Yes.
right? I mean, that's the other thing that it does take into consideration. I don't know what, all the things that they consider with that. I think it's the production of fuel, production of, all sorts of different things.
Right.
But that's where we were really low because I
You
don't
work
have
from
to
home.
travel for work. Yep.
Yeah.
My wife we live very close to my wife's work. It's I believe a 7-mile trip.
Oh, yeah.
And so that really brought us down. So we are actually a bit lower than you, about 3,200 gallons per day, which is still embarrassing. And it is a 2-person household.
Yeah.
But where ours went up was we do eat meat. And
Yeah.
I was surprised to see how much that changed the calculator. At this point in my life, I do enjoy meat. So I'm not necessarily making the quick change, but I could see going down because I put in there twice a day that I eat meat.
Yeah.
I could see us going down to once a day for that, just because A, for the environment, B, for our own health as well. There's all sorts of options out there. And I love vegetables. I love salad. So it's not a problem. The problem is I have steak salad. I love pieces of steak on my salad. So maybe just the salad by itself would be a good idea. But
Yeah.
and we only have one dog, but he's a bull mastiff, so he eats about 45 pounds a month, I suppose.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, but it's not, he's just the one dog. So it was very, very interesting. I loved being introduced to this, and I'm definitely going to be sharing this with some friends of mine, and they're going to be a lot higher than mine. So we'll see.
Yeah, so I think for us, the garden upped it.
Oh yeah,
the
true,
water
yeah.
usage. Yeah, and then of course driving. Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are the garden or the driving goes under the virtual water usage, and the same with the the pet food and your diet is.
Yep.
They classify that under virtual, but it is still water usage in your life. So
It is. It absolutely is.
it's fascinating.
Yeah. All right.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And it helps you figure out how to ways and places to look at to reduce your water usage. I'm like, okay, so low flow kitchen sink,
Yes.
bathroom sinks, gonna look those up. So,
Well, I will say there's only one criticism for the website that I have. It asked me if I had a pool. I said yes. And then the only other question it had was how many months out of the year is it covered? And so for me, 6 months, because it's only usable about 5 to 6 months out of the year. It didn't ask me how many gallons the pool was. So I don't know how that was calculating any water whatsoever, but that's
interesting.
Yeah, because we should really up our usage because it's a 40,000 gallon pool. So
yes, you're right. That should have been calculated. So
yeah, so I just didn't see anywhere to put that, and I told them, it's covered 6 months, but they didn't ask the quantity. So I think my numbers would have been quite a bit higher than yours if they'd actually asked that question.
That's interesting. Okay. Well,
all right.
The
second half of the 30.
Second half of the 30. Number 16, we should all be using refillable water bottles. We've got to stop the single-use plastics and single-use water bottles. It's a problem. So refillable water bottles, don't be buying single-use water bottles. And I can't even tell you how many times I've been in a grocery store and watching people buy big cases of plastic water bottles. It just makes me cringe. So carry your refillable water bottle everywhere you go. Keep one in the car, keep one at the office, keep it everywhere.
I'll tell you, since you and I started podcasting together, this has been on my mind a lot more, not necessarily just the water bottles, but we do a lot of work with our church. And a lot of times we help with the cafe, or we run the cafe. A lot of times when they have meals, they have a lot of leftover plasticware. And any plasticware that we've brought home, I wash now. I feel weird about that kind of in a way, but I'm already doing dishes. If I'm hand washing, I'll just throw those little suckers in there, mainly the spoons and forks, and I'll wash them up. I'll just use them until I can't use them anymore, or they snap, because some, the cheaper plastic snaps. But yeah, I hate throwing it away. And it's just that mindset of this is going to end up someplace and there's nothing it's no good is going to come from this half of a fork being in
Exactly.
in a landfill. So so I appreciate that. I wanted to just tell you that update.
Great.
You've got me thinking about these
I've
things.
influenced someone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And my whole household. See? Yeah, it's a hit. It's a commitment.
I'm very happy. Number 17, when you travel, we should all be encouraging our hotels to be more eco-friendly, picking up our towels and hanging them and reusing them when we're there. Don't let them change the sheets every day. A lot of hotels have that little card you can put on your bed. Don't change my sheets.
Mm-hmm.
We need to encourage hotels to be more environmentally friendly, not using as much water, all of those things. Drives me crazy. Sometimes you'll hang up your towel and they'll still replace it. So when they do that, I tell them at the front desk, I've hung up my towel so that you wouldn't wash it, and they still did. So I tell them, please don't do that.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, number 18. If your community has a refillable soap store where you can bring your own bottles and refill your soap, your laundry detergent, your cleaning supplies, we have one of these now. It's great. We can
I've never heard of that.
It's amazing. I love it. So we take in our laundry detergent container and we buy the laundry detergent that we want. They have several varieties. The same with liquid soaps, with our dog shampoo.
Really?
With regular shampoo, they have several varieties, very nice organic options. I love it. And they're rather inexpensive. You buy them by the ounce. It's amazing.
That makes perfect sense.
Yes. So look for that in your community and support your local stores and your local stuff. It's great. So look for that in your community. I think they're coming up everywhere.
All right.
Number 19, if your community doesn't already require it, and more are, still bring your own grocery bags. Stop with the thin flyaway shopping bags. Bring your own bags. So we're not, again, those little cheap bags that just shred and fly off in the air.
Yeah. And I stopped using them because I found that they were so weak that I double the bag and then I'm twice as guilty. I'm like, geez, now I got 2 plastic bags for one.
You feel bad, right?
Yeah. So no, I either we'll take our cloth bags, or if I forget the cloth bag or we're stopping on the way home from someplace and we don't have it in the car, then I'll choose the paper bag, which is lesser of two evils, kind of. I don't know.
It is. And they're actually a little bit easier to reuse, and it's still better, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And then this one, I think everybody wants to do this anyway, but number 20, stop the junk mail.
Oh,
there's a couple services that you can use. Go online and just Google this. I should have done it so I had it ahead of time, but I didn't. But you can stop junk mail because a lot of these come from a couple of services.
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to get all that stuff in the mail anyway? We just toss it, or hopefully it's going in your recycle bin. But stop all that paper. Stop killing the trees. And then get your regular bills paperless and just pay them online. So we're not, again, killing trees. Get stuff paperless, pay it online, stop using the envelopes, all of that stuff.
Yeah. The only thing that, this junk mail does for me is my grandson loves getting the mail. But guess what? I could have him bring it in, put it on the desk, and when he's gone, I can put it back in the mailbox. And he'll never know because he can't read.
Yes.
So he won't know it's from the same people over and over.
He will not. You can just recycle the same 3 pieces for a couple months. Yep.
Papa got mail. Thanks, buddy. That's all it is.
Because frankly, you'll never get rid of all of it. But if you can get rid of most of it, it would be really nice because, do I hate junk mail.
Yeah, absolutely.
21, buy things from resale shops or garage sales first if you can. We need to stop buying so much stuff new that we don't need new. It's a form of recycling. And actually, I love antiquing.
Yes.
Which is fun. But I also love the thrill of the hunt. And I think there's a lot of people like that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even tell you how many times I've been into resale shops where I have found clothes with the tags still on them.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's that. Or some really nice clothing in a resale shop that looks practically brand new. So, it's a great way to do that. And, 22, we should be recycling everything first. All of those things, our clothes, used appliances that we don't necessarily need anymore. Someone else can use it. So send those things to the resale shop. Not everybody wants to have a garage sale. They don't want to sit there all day, but there's a lot of people who can use those things. So, again, recycling, which is also part of 23, donating items to tool libraries, even regular libraries sometimes need those things, or they have book sales to support the library, movie libraries. Donate those things to places that can use them. Places like domestic violence shelters, they also need your clothing to help people who, and your home items, helping people get back on their feet. So think about other places that might need things that you no longer need and recycle them instead of throwing them in the landfill.
Yeah, I've never heard of a tool library either. That's a fantastic concept.
Yeah.
Great.
Who needs to go buy a tile cutter for a one-time, kitchen project or bathroom project?
Mm-hmm.
There are places, tool lending libraries where you can go and borrow these items and then you return them. And why buy a couple $100 piece of equipment that you won't need again?
Yeah. So you've been looking at my garage. I have a tile saw in there I bought because I have to redo my bathroom. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully when you're done, you can donate it to a facility, a place like that where someone else can use it.
There we go. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And compost your food waste. If you have a garden, you should have a compost system. We have a worm compost system and I love it.
A worm compost system.
Yes. It's very cool. We have these red worms and the compost system, which was put together by our local county. Santa Fe County had a program for people who live in the county. They gave us the worm compost system. And so we now compost all of our food waste into the worm compost system. It's very cool.
Wow.
You don't really see the worms very much anymore, but they multiply and they're eating all of our compost.
There, yeah.
And then we use the compost for the garden. That's very healthy compost. If you don't have a garden, maybe some of your neighbors do. So you can use your compost for them. They're going to want it for sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes people don't have enough food waste to feed their own compost system, so they might want it. So check with your neighbors.
Yes.
Yeah. 25. Look for items when you're shopping with less packaging.
Mm-hmm.
We have to encourage producers, not just of food, but other things, especially toys. You have grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have you bought things for them and the packaging is absolutely ridiculous?
Yep.
It takes an engineering degree to get the toy open.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
Or a chainsaw, one of the two.
Yes, or a chainsaw. You're practically going to injure yourself trying to get it open. But we need to think about that when we're buying things for ourselves, for someone else. I swear I've actually seen this in a store, and not just as a meme on Facebook or whatever, but a container with a peeled orange in it. I literally have seen that in the store.
Mm-hmm.
What? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yes.
I don't want to buy my fruit already in a plastic container. No.
Yep. I've seen it as well in a tall cup-like container with a domed lid. The orange is in there, and then they have plastic wrap around it to seal in the freshness. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Multiple layers of plastic when we actually had a natural wrapper. But
yes,
yeah,
not going to buy that, and I'm not going to support that. So we need to think about reducing waste in that way, and not buying the stuff with ridiculous packaging. So yeah. Number 26, we need to look at our food's carbon footprint. Think about eating local as much as we can. It's not always possible, but let's look at the carbon footprint when we can. There's a coffee that I like to get that is literally called low carbon footprint coffee. And it's excellent coffee. But they literally think about their carbon footprint in its production and where it comes from. And so, it's not like you can buy coffee in Santa Fe that was grown here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get coffee that's grown here. But I want to look at that in terms of where as much of my food comes from that I can. So if I can buy local eggs at the farmer's market, great. One, they're going to taste better because
absolutely
they're free-range chickens and definitely better. So do as much as you can that's local when you can.
Yep.
And then 27 goes back to our water calculator that we did. So once you have determined your baseline water usage and looked at where you fall, figure out how you can reduce your water usage. Try for a goal of 15 to 20% reduction. especially if you're above average. We definitely have to figure out that usage and reduce it. So my goal is going to be to reduce my water usage by 15% in the areas that I can do that with.
Yeah.
Obviously I won't be able to reduce my driving much, but there's other areas where I can. So I'm going to focus on those things. I'm going to try to reduce my water by 15%.
Yeah.
That's going to be my goal over the next 3 months.
All right.
And then I'm going to redo this calculator and see if I can make that happen.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. So 28, if you can, try to carpool 1 or 2 days a week if you're not doing it already. So we've talked about this before. We live out of town. It's a 12-mile drive one way for work. So it's very difficult for us, but we are setting a goal to carpool at least once a week.
Oh, see?
Which we can. We can make that happen one day a week, which will reduce our energy consumption. It will reduce our carbon footprint. Apparently, it will reduce our water consumption.
That's right.
I didn't really think about that as a virtual water piece, but apparently it will. So that is our goal, minimum 1 day a week. We're going to try to not drive into town both weekend days as well, because sometimes we end up doing that both weekend days, which is a lot as well. It increases our driving, but we're going to keep that to 1. So see if we can reduce our driving habits.
Nice.
Yeah. And 29, if you live in a city where it's easy to make that happen, try to use public transportation at least 1 day a week.
Yeah.
We can't. There's no public transportation out where we live, but for people who have that ability, if you live in a city where there is public transportation. I mean, there's public transportation in Santa Fe. So if we lived in the city, we could certainly do that. But there's no buses out by my house.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is the bus is going there anyway, right? So it's going to be running anyway. So you might as well be on it and get there and back and 1 day a week. It's going to save you money on gas. It's going to maybe your time is taken up a little bit differently, and maybe you look at it as kind of a slight inconvenience because you don't have your car, hot and ready right there.
Right.
But wow, it can definitely make a difference on how you feel.
Yeah. 2 mayors ago, we had our mayor took the bus to work every day. He didn't drive.
Nice.
He rode the bus. Yeah, it was great. I thought that was an amazing thing for him to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And number 30, our final one, reduce your home's temperature in the winter by 2 degrees. It will drastically reduce your energy consumption. Or in the summer, raise it by 2 degrees. So nobody needs their house set at 65 degrees in the summer. It doesn't need to be that cold in there. Bring the temperature up if you're using an air conditioner, and in the winter, drop it down a little bit. Put on a sweater, as my dad used to say.
Yeah.
Never thought I would say that, but it's true. Put on a sweater, bring it up, and weatherize your home. Think about those things. Look at places where you have air leaks. A couple years ago, we realized that our dog door going in and out, it was a single flap dog door. Like, there's a lot of cold air coming in that way. And so we put in a double flap, and that seriously reduced the cool air coming in and out of that door.
And if you've got a tool library around your house someplace, borrow one of those little zapper gun things that you can point at a location and it'll tell you what the temperature is.
Yes.
Right? And you go around to all your windows and doors and even just some of your walls and check them, because you'll be absolutely shocked at the varying degrees of temperature that you're getting. And then you'll know where you have to focus your energy and attention on winterizing maybe the outside of the window with, I hate to say plastic, but it is a type of plastic that you can put out there that'll last all winter long and really, really do some tremendous good for your entire house.
It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
Yeah. So there we go. 30 eco-friendly tips to living a greener life. I'm sure we could probably come up with 20 more if we tried hard, but I don't want to be here for 4 hours, which we could probably do. Yeah.
Yeah, easily. But this is what a great start. I mean, even just if you didn't hear the first podcast, go back and listen to it. The first 15 were fantastic as well. But I just hope people pick 5, right? Pick 5 out of this 30 to say, this is something I'm going to try. This is something that I'm going to look for. Some of the things you can't do. I mean, we already know that. Like I mentioned, I've never heard of a soap store where you can just go buy by the ounce. I think it's a fantastic concept, but there's nothing like that around me. But there are definitely other things. I can change how I, pick up my groceries and all that jazz as far as plastic versus paper versus reusable cloth.
Right.
So I would encourage everybody out there to get this list, go back and listen to the other podcasts and just pick 5 just to try for the next 3 months. See what happens.
Yeah. We'll have to put this list on our blog page.
Yeah. Good idea.
On the website so that people can look at the actual list. I think we'll do that. And then they can, because I think that's a great idea. Pick 5. Nobody can do all 30, but pick 5. It will make a huge difference in moving us forward into a greener life and a greener economy.
All right, Kim, I'm challenging you right now. You ready?
Yes.
This podcast will publish probably in about a month or so, right? That's about the published time.
Yep.
I'm asking you within a month, can you please get a link to this list? And
yes,
members of the audience, we will put a clickable link in the show notes. So as you're listening to this podcast, if you go to the show notes on your phone or on the computer, wherever you're listening to this, there'll be a link that you should be able to click and go right to the website and download this list.
We'll do it.
All right. I look forward to hearing how people are making some small changes here and there. And those that are listening, when you do make some changes, let Kim know. Email her.
Yeah.
Say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to accept the challenge. I'm going to pick 5. These are the 5 I've picked. And let's talk about it in 3 months.
That sounds great.
All right, Kim, how do they email you?
They can email us at info@horizonssfs.com, or they can go to our Facebook page as well.
Nice. Hey, on this list, why don't we put your email address as well? So once they download the list, they'll have your email address right there and they can let you know what they're doing.
We'll do that. We'll also put our Facebook link on there as well.
Perfect. All right, Kim, thank you so much for the time today.
I am happy to be here and I'm excited about this. And it's great to talk with you again, Aric.
All right. As always, it's great to talk to you. And I'll let you know which 5 I'm concentrating on as well. We'll do this together.
Oh, I'm happy to do it with you.
All right. And thank you all for listening to the Deep Impact Investing Podcast with Kimberly Griego-Kiel. If you have not subscribed to the podcast yet, please click the subscribe now button below. This way, when Kim comes out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. This makes it much easier to share these podcasts with your friends and family. Again, thanks for listening today. For everyone at Horizon Sustainable Financial Services, this is Aric Johnson reminding you to live your best day every day. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Deep Impact Investing Podcast, the sustainable, responsible impact investing podcast that shows you how to get your voice heard. It's time to start investing like you give a damn. To ask a question that we can answer on an upcoming podcast, email us at info@horizonssfs.com or join the conversation on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Horizons Sustainable Financial Services, or give us a call at 505-982-9661. Don't forget to click the subscribe button to be notified when new episodes become available. The companies we may speak about during our podcast are not recommendations for investment only. You and your financial advisor can determine what the right investments are for you and your situation. Horizon Sustainable Financial Services is a registered investment advisor, registered with the state of New Mexico, and other jurisdictions were registered or exempted. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the host and or guest and do not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Horizon Sustainable Financial Services. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.